record button. It should ask your consent, and then it's just me and my screen. And let's go ahead and take our seat. If you're like me, you're picking the dirt off your mat. Had a yoga teacher that was like, never practice with dirty feet, never practice on a dirty mat. I'm going to give you permission to be dirty, to practice however your body shows up today, and to let that be wonderful and enough. So finding an easy seat, and maybe you're cross-legged, maybe you're honoring those knees and extending those legs out. Let's take a moment to find our breath. You might close your eyes to do that and just let the shoulders soften from the ears, let the belly relax here. Deep breath into the body through the nose or mouth. Nice slow breath out if it feels right. Yet again, a deep body breath all the way in, and a nice slow exhale. Continuing these big, slow breaths. And then on your next inhale, hold it at the top for just a moment. Continue to hold if it feels nice. And then take that nice, slow exhale, releasing the breath from the body before once more filling right back up. Taking that big breath in, maybe you hold, and then let it go nice and slow. Maybe you continue that, filling the body with breath, giving it a sweet, slow hold at the top before letting it trickle from the lungs. Each exhale softens the tongue in your mouth, that space between your eyebrows, any stiffness in the legs, the arms, relaxing even the palms of your hands as you breathe here. Nowhere else to be but right here in your body in this moment. And we'll go ahead and do a deep vagal stim here on an inhale. You might sweep that right arm up overhead, plant it on the opposite side of the head, and then invite that right ear down towards your shoulder. Relaxing both shoulders yet again, letting them hang heavy. Softening any effort in the jaw here. Inviting the stretch all along the left side of the neck, really letting that left shoulder, that left arm hang down. Deep breaths into the belly. Maybe the eyes remain closed as you notice all the sensations in the body. That lengthening of the side of the neck. The stretching of the belly on the inhale. Noticing what other parts of your body you can soften and release on that exhale. We'll just be here for a moment, inviting that vagal break, that vagal nerve to stretch, slow our heart rate, calm our nervous system, and bring us present. When you're ready, lift your hand from atop your head, let it float upright. And with both arms relaxed in this stillness, take a moment and observe what you feel. Floating, aching, buzzing, nothing. There is no wrong answer. Noticing is the answer. When you're ready, inhale that opposite arm up. We'll find this stretch on the opposite side, really softening the shoulders. That's always the hardest part for me. They always want to hitch up towards my ears. We carry a lot of tension in the shoulders and the jaw. And so this is a beautiful opportunity to release both of those things. That right shoulder really hanging heavy. Invite your mind's eye to what you feel all along the length of the neck here. Can you intensify that stretch by dropping the shoulder or dropping that left ear down further towards the shoulder? Once more, breathe deep into the belly. Notice where the body tenses or clenches when you're not paying attention. These are often places where we hold our trauma or our stress. So learning to counteract that tension with deep, relaxing breaths is a beautiful thing that we can take into our everyday. When you're ready, lift your hand atop your head. Let the head float upright. Notice what you feel. Take a moment here longer to let those shoulders melt. And then on an inhale of your choice, when you're ready, you might blink your eyes open, sweep those arms up overhead. Palms come towards the center. We're going to lower them down towards the heart center on the exhale. A few more of these. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring the palms down. Sometimes I like to touch my thumbs towards my sternum or my heart center. On those inhales, pressing through those fingertips. Exhale, bring it in towards the heart. And know that as you inhale, you can also sweep up directly in front of you if that feels better. We're honoring the shoulders here. And then pause with your palms at the heart center. From here, we're going to find what I've referred to often with y'all as temple mudra, but in Sanskrit, it's called the Kali mudra. And the Kali mudra goes with our theme of Satya. So the Kali mudra looks like this. We're going to interlace, I might do it over here, interlace all of our fingers. And then once they're all interlaced, you're going to leave your pointer fingers up and out. And you might bring those thumbs back towards the heart center if they've left. And so here we are in temple mudra or in Kali mudra. And Kali is a goddess, right? In Hindu religion, she's the partner of Shiva, and Kali is one of the most feared goddesses in the world because she cuts through, right? This is her sword that you've made. She cuts through BS with her sword to get to the truth. And she saved the entire world, all of creation, from a demon that even all of the strongest men gods, because Hinduism is a little patriarchal, even all of the strongest Hindu male gods couldn't destroy this demon. And she was so furious watching all of these men fail that she came down. She tore the demon apart. She drank all of his blood. And she was so mad that she continued just destroying everything until her husband came around and said, "Hey, hold on, lady." And she destroyed her husband as well. She stepped on his head and crushed him. And it wasn't until that moment that she realized, oh, all right, my job is done. And Shiva is a god. Her husband lived, obviously. He's indestructible. But Kali is powerful. The story of Kali is powerful, and there's a lot of feminine rage that goes with Kali. So we're going to take our sword here, and on an inhale, and this is very traditional, we're going to press our palms together, lift our pointer fingers skyward. Exhale, bring it right back down towards the belly button. Inhale, lift it skyward. Exhale, lift it, lower it right back down towards the belly button. I say towards because as far as you can get, keeping those palms together. Moving with the breath, inhaling to rise, really pressing tall to the top of the head, those fingertips. Exhale, bring it back down. And in traditional yoga, folks that practice it intertwined with Hinduism, this is Kali's sword coming down and cutting through the BS inside of us. And you might, with eyes closed or open, just take a moment and envision, right? This is your sword of truth, and it is cutting through the BS in your life. Maybe that is truthfulness in your experience. Maybe that is being honest with others about how you feel. Maybe honest with yourself about what you're going through, honest about what you need. Whatever truth you are seeking, we just cut through it. One more time. This time on an inhale, lift those fingertips skyward. As you exhale, you're going to lean towards the right. Inhale, rise up. We've changed it all together. Lean towards the left. We're just taking baby leans, right? We're not going to cause our torso, our low back, our shoulders any pain. With each exhale, we're pressing out through those pointed fingers and down through our sits bones and our seat. So those bony protrusions underneath each butt cheek, moving with the breath. Our Kali Mudra, our sword of truth, unstoppable above us. On an inhale, remain here. On an exhale of your choice, you're going to release your fingertips, palms out, slowly lower them down by your sides, pressing out through those fingertips, arms lengthen. Then we'll go ahead and interlace our fingers at our back. And I'm going to turn sideways so you can see this a little better. You might interlace your fingers, you might grab a strap and hold it at your back, or you might simply take fists, elbows out towards the side. However you're choosing to move this morning, squeeze those shoulder blades together, almost like you want to squeeze those elbows together. On an inhale, lift tall through the heart, and then we're going to press our chin up towards the sky. So a deep heart opener. Breathe deep into the belly, deep into the chest. And then if you're sitting here in Sukhasana with legs crossed, you're welcome to keep them crossed, but we're going to turn this into a fold. So you might lengthen your legs out to make more space for your belly. On an exhale, lower your gaze down to neutral, and we're going to fold forward. And here's what I mean. My tummy sort of stops me atop my thighs. All I got to do to make space in my fold is simply extend my legs wide and then invite my belly between the thighs. And as the belly and the heart sink forward, we're still squeezing those shoulder blades back, melting the heart. Belly button hangs loose. If the legs are extended, you might press through the heels of your feet, flex your toes towards your heart. This stretches the whole of the back body. On an inhale, pressing down through the legs, rise tall through the top of the head. Exhale, we're going to turn towards the top of that left thigh and bow. As much or as little feels good. And when you get down here, you might lower your forehead down towards your knee. And what you find is as you bow over the top of your left leg, your hands are going to want to shift towards that right hip. Go for it. Do it. Feel it. Enjoy whatever sensations you are creating in your body. On an inhale of your choice, pressing down through your legs or through the heels, rise up tall, switch sides. Exhale, lower. As much or as little feels good. Maybe you drop the neck into it, squeezing those shoulder blades back. It's easy to forget. On an inhale, press down into the ground as you rise up through the top of the head. Release those arms. All right. Let's come to some cat-cow. I'm going to use my blanket to pad my knees, and then you might be protecting your wrist. It's a super common one. One of the easiest ways to protect your wrist is instead of doing palms flat, you might do palms in fists, and I do them with the thumbs out, pressing my thumbs along the ground. You might use blocks on your forearms. So there's a lot of different options. You might put your forearms on the side of your bed, but from wherever you are, find your tabletop, this neutral spine, gazing down at the earth. Feet are about hip distance apart, right? With those knees, tops of the feet, can you feel them pressed into the earth? And then on an inhale of your choice, press long through the top of your head as you press down through your tailbone, lengthening your spine out. And then we're going to move into cat. So pressing the mat away, feel the arms extend long. Curl the tailbone in towards the belly button, right? The back is beginning to round here. Now to complete this, keeping the arms long, really pressing through the arms, let the top of the head lower down towards the earth and maybe give it a little sway. Let the neck relax. And then once more, curl that tailbone in towards the belly button. It's like your tailbone wants to reach your nose. Your nose wants to reach your tailbone tucked underneath your belly. Breathe deep here, focusing on the exhales, pressing long into the arms with each exhale, further accentuating the C shape of your cat here. And then on an inhale of your choice, belly drops low, gaze rises. Tailbone curls up towards the ceiling in cow, and hang out here for a moment. Maybe you give the belly a little jiggle, just like you gave your neck earlier. Sometimes it's the hardest to release from the belly, taking a deep breath in, inviting that stretch, that relaxation of your abdominal muscles. And then as far as gazing skyward, our goal here is just to press the chin either towards the wall in front of you or up towards the ceiling, if that feels good. Towards the wall in front of us helps honor the cervical vertebra at the back of the neck. So whatever feels good in your body, feel empowered to choose it. On an exhale, let's curl the tailbone into cat, press the mat away, let the head hang loose. Inhale, drop the belly low, press the chin forward, cow. Moving with the breath. This is one of the most powerful exercises we can do. If you want to get a little more stretch in the low back, you might curl your toes up on the mat as you're doing this. It really stretches in that cat posture. So choosing what feels good to you. And then let's find a little intuitive somatic movement. So maybe you take a little circle with the hips as you transition from cat to cow. Some people call this scraping the peanut butter jar. For me, my hand-eye body coordination is terrible. So it took me a really long time to figure out what it felt like to circle my hips from cat to cow. When you're ready, if you've chosen a direction, switch directions, just finding balance. If you're just moving all willy-nilly, but it feels good, hell yeah, do it. Somatic movement isn't about the shapes we're making. It's about allowing our mind's eye to become deeply acquainted with the sensations that we're creating in our body. So we can feel where the sensations are. We can feel what the sensations feel like. Are they painful, sharp, dull, floaty, you know? All right, when you're ready, find stillness. Keeping those toes curled on the mat, we're gonna walk our hands back towards our knees and press upright. So from here, coming into broken toe, this is where Satya comes into play, right? Truthfulness. We're gonna be honest with ourselves about when we've had enough. This might be enough, right? This stretch all along the back of the toes that we're feeling. Notice that as you sit back towards your heels, that sensation of the stretch of your toes increases exponentially. And so you're just going to sink back. Those hips, as much or as little as the body is asking for. You can use blocks as well to assist with this, y'all. You know, if we really want to slowly sit back. So you decide. Sometimes I have to pull my pinky toe out to get it into this because it's extra short. And wherever you are, wherever you hang out, we're just going to breathe there. Deep breaths into the belly, allowing intensity that doesn't make our body clench, doesn't make your jaw tight, doesn't make your shoulders hitch up, right? We relax everything, the belly, the arms, the neck, the jaw. We breathe deep. Maybe you find that Kali Mudra again. We are stretching not just the back of the toes, we're stretching the fascia all along the back body. This is going to help relieve tight hamstrings, hip and low back pain. All right, we're almost done. 2 more breaths, y'all. Woo. And then when you're ready, come back down onto your hands and knees in tabletop, and then smack your toes atop the mat. Ooh, apologize if you need to. All right, maybe some ankle circles one way and then the other. Ooh, and then when you're ready, walking back upon your shins once more, we're gonna come into a low lunge, so an Anjane asana. And you might keep your blocks for this if you would like, but stepping the left leg forward, into Anjaneyasana. Anjaneyasana is another posture, or low lunge is another posture that's associated with Satya or truthfulness. So on an inhale, sweep the arms up overhead if you'd like, or up in front of you. And then bring the palms together in your Kali Mudra. So you might find an even deeper stretch in this low lunge by curling the toes of that back foot. So you decide if that feels good. Maybe you experiment. And then on an inhale, we're just going to lift up through the heart, press tall through those fingertips, breathing space into the body. Beautiful. On an exhale, lower the Kali Mudra down to heart center. We're going to find some twists. So pressing my thumbs towards my sternum, keeping my Kali Mudra in play. On an inhale, I'm lifting through the top of my head. Exhale, we're going to turn towards the left. So closing this twist across the body, holding here for a moment. And to hold in this twist, we're pressing down through the pad of this front foot. And we're really focusing on the anchors of our feet. Sometimes this knee will want to fall out towards the side in the same direction you're twisting. So tracking that front knee skyward. And then when you're ready, release from this twist. Take a deep inhale, find that length in your body when you're ready. Exhale, twist open. Hold this for a moment. Again, check in with that front knee because it wants to follow us everywhere we go. And we're going to honor our ankle and the knee joint by keeping it in alignment, right, with the ceiling. So opening this up, you might notice it's a lot easier to twist. There's so much more room for our chest and our belly in these open twists. And then when you're ready, come back to neutral. We'll move with the flow of our breath now. So inhale, find length. Exhale, close the twist towards the left. Inhale, find length. Exhale, open the twist towards the right. So moving with your breath. Keeping that front knees tracked skyward. Check in with it as you move. One more breath to either side as you feel led. And then let's switch sides. If this is a lot for your knee, if it's complaining, grab a squishier blanket or a thicker bolster. The work that we're doing here in Anjaneyasana means that we can put some cushion under this knee and still find this alignment in our spine and posture that we're looking for. All right, on an inhale, sweeping the arms out or up in front of us, finding our Kali Mudra. Exhale, bring Kali down into the heart, that sword of truth. Inhale, find your length. Exhale, twist it closed. Hold for a moment. Feel this in your body. We want to feel the twist from our solar plexus, right? The space just below the heart. So I often imagine that it's my heart that I'm bringing with me, right? That Kali Mudra, that heart twist first. On an inhale of your choice, release, find length. Exhale, twist open, check in with that front knee, right? As we open through this inner thigh, opening up the hips, keeping that front knee in alignment with the front of our mat. On an inhale of your choice, release and find length. Exhale, let's just move with our breath, closing and opening that twist. Moving and twisting from the solar plexus, we take the heart with us wherever we go. And then one more time to either side, as quickly or as slowly as you would like. Beautiful. And then from here, we're going to find half Hanuman. So keeping this front right leg extended long, right? We're going to straighten the knee. You might grab blocks on either side of this extended leg. And then I always am tempted to like sit back towards my back heel, but we're not. We're going to stay up on this knee. And then the front foot, this right foot, we're going to flex the toes towards the heart as we imagine pressing our heart over top these toes. So it's this equal and opposite pressure that's really stretching all along the back body. And we're pressing into our blocks to relieve any effort on this knee that's on the ground, to bring a little love and support to the body. And then when you're ready, we'll just sweep this right leg behind us. Let's extend the left for half Hanumanasana. So straightening the left leg long, flexing the toes towards the heart, and then just imagining the heart pressing forward over top those toes. Knowing that, yes, you can sit those hips as far back towards those heels as brings you delight. But that doesn't change where we want our heart to press, right? Forward over those toes. Just imagining the heart can reach there. Beautiful. When you're ready, come back up into Anjaneyasana on this side of the body. So, option for a few different things. You might interlace the fingers behind the back, open up the heart center here, and hang out. Opening up the heart, lifting through the top of the head, breathing that truthful light into the heart, right? This empowerment of being able to speak your truth without shame. And then if you would like an option to bend into that front knee and then shift the hips forward, right? As the heart rises, as we squeeze those shoulder blades together, maybe a lot of it, maybe a little bit. You decide. Beautiful. You might release those hands behind your back. They might come onto these blocks on the inside of that left thigh, or you can continue to have them on the hips. There's a lot of different ways to do this. You might have them interlaced or fists at your back, still upright here, lifting through the heart and the head. We're only stretching these hips forward, stretching this front hip flexor as much as our body is asking. And then from here, we're going to come into pigeon. So I'm going to step my left foot. See, if I had my hands on the ground, I'm going to step my left foot over towards the right. I'm going to plant my hands and invite it to come down into a pigeon pose. Now, this blanket underneath your knee, pull it forward to underneath the thigh. And if you roll the blanket up a little higher, it'll give some support to that inner thigh, which makes our pigeon pose a little bit more accessible. If you've got blocks, you can hang out up high in pigeon pose. If pigeon pose isn't working for you, if it's not feeling great in your body because it is incredibly hard on the knee, what we're going to do instead is come back up into Anjaneyasana. And instead of stepping this foot across, we're simply going to bring it in towards the groin and then come back down into a modified pigeon pose. So instead of having this foot across my body like this, I've brought it in towards the groin. And now I'm extending my right leg out behind me. And again, blocks, no blocks. Beautiful. From wherever you are in pigeon, make your messy way into tabletop, drawing that extended leg up in, releasing that left leg from in front of you. And then once more, find your Anjaneyasana. This time the right leg stepped forward. Beautiful. Maybe you interlace at your back. Maybe you just find those fists lifting tall through the heart, pressing strong through the pad of this front right foot. Beautiful. Opening up through the heart, through the shoulders. And then if you would like, sinking those hips forward, softening through that front left leg. Let that hip flexor elongate as much or as little as you like. And then from here, find your pigeon. So release those hips back, heel toe that right foot over towards the left. And then coming down onto hands and knees, we're letting that right knee fall open towards the right, finding our way into pigeon. And again, if that didn't feel good, instead of heel toeing this right foot across, we're just gonna step it in towards our groin, come down onto our hands and knees, and then the top of my foot, the top of my right foot is on the mat. My heel is tucked up in towards my groin, and I'm extending that left leg long. So a lot of different ways to explore this. And then when you're ready, make it messy, find your way to tabletop. I typically start by curling the toes of my extended leg and then sliding that knee up in towards my body. Now here I am able to maneuver into tabletop while honoring all my joints. So here we are in tabletop one more time. Find your table. We're gonna challenge our core just a bit here. I'm gonna do it from my forearms just to show you it can be done. So from here, extending the right leg long, curl the toes up on the mat, press through the heel, bounce through it. If that feels good, find a little rhythm. Maybe you just press and hold because that feels good. Breathe space into those muscles you're stretching along the back of the leg. Each inhale invites a lengthening, a releasing. Beautiful. Bring it in, switch sides, extend the left leg long, curl those toes, bounce or hold, but stretch into that heel. Breathe deep into the belly. This time, as you switch sides, an option to lift the leg. So you might press back through that heel and just keep this beautiful hamstring stretch going. You might choose to lift the heel, keeping the toes flexed towards the body, press long through the heel. And then an option, grounding down through that right arm or right forearm, we're gonna extend the left arm long, pressing through those fingertips, breathing, and then bring it on in. Let's switch sides. Extend the left leg. Maybe you lift it, maybe you don't, but we're pressing through that heel and then extending our right arm. So opposite arm, opposite leg. Bring it on in. Switch sides. Extending that right leg. Maybe we lift, then we extend that left arm. Now you might hold here for a few breaths, or you might move with your breath. On an exhale, bring the elbow and knee in toward each other-ish, right? Inhale, extend long. So we'll hold wherever we are, knowing that we can rest those toes and that arm whenever we would like, but we'll take 2 more rounds of breath. And then on your next exhale, plant that arm and leg. Let's switch sides. Left leg long. Maybe that right arm lifts. Maybe you move with the breath. Exhale, elbow and knee towards one another. Inhale long, pressing through fingertips and heel. 2 more rounds of breath wherever you are. Choosing to be honest and truthful about the needs of our body this morning. On an exhale of your choice, come back in to that tabletop and then pressing up onto shins. Let's get ready to cool our practice down. So grab your blanket, set it aside. Whew. We're gonna take, actually, we're gonna need our blanket. I lied to you. We're gonna take a seat on it. Words. Coming back into a seat. I wanna do some wild thing work with you. Modified wild thing, if you will. So finding a Dandarasana, a staff pose. Whew. Let's take a moment. Those bird dogs got me, y'all. All right, staff pose, pressing through the heels, flexing the toes towards the heart. My sits bones, my hips are up on my blanket. So I have some height here. I might pull my belly a little more top my thighs. And then each inhale, pressing length through the body. Each exhale melts those shoulders, keeping that length. We find ourselves here. So our first forward fold looks like this. We're gonna bend this left knee, plant the pad of that left foot on the inside of our right thigh. I'm gonna pull my belly atop my extended left thigh. And then my goal here on an inhale is to find length. On an exhale is to keep that length and surrender my heart center down towards the top of this left thigh. And yes, my belly kind of can get squished here, and that's all right. Sometimes you can tuck it away from the top of the thigh, and that feels really good. But I really want my whole of my torso to melt atop the thigh. So sometimes I just let my tummy get a little squished there if it's feeling good. Again, from day to day, my body's needs are different. And when I honor those needs without shame, without worrying about what that means about my worthiness, my everyday gets so much easier. My love for my body grows. It's a beautiful thing. All right, on an inhale, rise up tall. You might walk those hands up the thighs. And then from here, we take a wild thing, staying where we are. I'm just gonna show you, switch directions. Whichever leg is extended long, we're gonna take that opposite arm, we're gonna plant it behind us, fingertips away from the body. And if we're honoring our wrists, you might just hang out and see if this is something you wanna do. I think it's not much more difficult than a reverse tabletop. Anyway, I'm talking. So planting the opposite arm behind you, fingertips pointed away from the body. Here's what we do. I'm gonna press into this palm of my hand, and I'm gonna lift up onto this bent shin. So it looks like this. I'm pressing into it, and I'm lifting up. And then once I'm lifted, I'm extending my left arm overhead and maybe back behind me. So my pelvis, I'm squeezing my glutes, my pelvis is pressing forward, and I'm swinging my left arm open, right? The extended leg is also the extended arm. So this is modified wild thing. When you're ready, you just sit the hips back, swing that extended arm in, and switch sides. So finding our Dandasana, our staff pose, bending that opposite knee. Oh, let's find our fold once more. So maybe you lift the belly atop that extended thigh, maybe you don't. On an inhale, find all that length. As you exhale, take the length with you. Surrender your heart. You might even let the forehead curl down. On an inhale, rise up, walking the hands towards the body. And then if you want to find our wild thing, whichever leg we have extended long, that opposite arm sweeps back behind us. We'll plant the fingertips pointing away from the body. And then when you're ready, I press into this arm and use it to roll up onto my bent shin, just like this. I'm rolling up onto the bent shin. And then this arm that I have extended skyward, I'm just gonna reach it back down to the ground behind me as I press my pelvis forward. And then sit those hips back down, sweep that arm in. So modifications for wild thing are simply leaning back, coming up onto the shin and pressing the hips forward, right? We can leave the arm without. There's definitely some more play there to make it accessible. So if y'all have some feedback after class, I'm super open to it. And then from here, we're gonna do a couple more seated twists of Marjaryasana, which is actually, I feel like, one of the harder seated twists to find in a larger body. And then we'll end our practice on the floor. So Marjaryasana is a seated closed twist. And we start first in our staff pose, right? Legs extended, pressing through the heels, flexing the toes towards the heart. Then we'll take our right knee, we're gonna bend it up toward our body, plant the pad of our foot. Immediately my belly is in the way, right? That's all right. I'm gonna pull my belly to the inside of this thigh and then invite it up skyward. So I'm squeezing my thighs together because I really want to keep this knee tracked skyward. Now, Marjaryasana looks like this. we're supposed to close twist, plant our hand. This is what it looks like. Marjaryasana. This is really uncomfortable for me in my belly. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to grab a block, and a block is optional. I'm going to place it about 6 inches from my tailbone. This is going to give me a boost as I'm seated here. And then instead of bending my knee right up towards my heart center, I'm going to slide it away from my body so that my heel is about where my knee is on the opposite leg, right? Here's my knee on this leg. Here's the heel of my foot. I'm going to pull my belly atop this thigh. As I take my right leg, or my left leg is extended, that means my right arm is behind me. And we're going to close this twist, right? So it's a twist across the body. So on an inhale, find length, lengthen through the top of the head, lengthen through the spine. I have my belly in my hands here. As I exhale, I'm going to lift my belly atop my thigh and then turn. And you might slide the block away from you, recline a little bit, giving yourself some more room in the belly area for this closed twist. The closer the block is towards your body, the more upright you're seated. It doesn't matter. There's no medal for upright seated. We're just exploring here. Closed twists are hard. They squeeze out all of our organs. They squish all the blood out of them. And then when you release from them and go ahead and release from this twist, keeping this knee skyward, you might even use your arm to hold it up here. Breathe into the belly. Let all that blood come rushing back. And then let's open this twist. So we closed it, right? Squishing the blood out of the organs. Now we're going to open the twist. So opening when you're ready. Ooh, that means whatever leg is extended long, you'll plant that same arm behind you, fingertips pointed behind you. And then we close the twist by taking the inside of our opposite arm to the outside of our arm to the inside of our thigh. These press against each other like anchor points here. And I'm going to use that anchor to turn my heart center open, maybe gazing over that shoulder. Gosh, my directions are so mediocre right now because I am confused about left and right. Oh, y'all. It is a messy, imperfect practice, ain't it? When you're ready, release. Let's switch sides. Like extend the legs long. Let's shake them out. Maybe shake your hips out. Maybe do a little forward fold. Loving on that low back. We're doing a lot of work here. And then bend that opposite knee up. Make space for your belly. Find your block at your low back. We're going to close this twist up. So I'm grabbing my belly. Shoop, shoop, shoop. Grabbing my belly on an inhale. Finding length, lifting the belly, exhale, dropping that belly atop my thigh, planting that arm behind me, coming into this closed twist. This is never something that I could do in yoga classes. And so often I would sit there and just watch people do these closed twists that I could never find with my belly. When you're ready, release from this, keeping the knees skyward. Whoo, let's find an open twist. So here we are. The inside of this bent knee becomes an anchor to the outside of our arm. Planting the opposite arm behind us. Inhale to find length. Exhale, twist open. This is a lot of work for this inner thigh here, right? Because you're really having to use those adductor muscles to keep your hip and your knee in place. This is such good strength work. One more breath here if it feels nice, and then release, let go. We'll move the block. We'll take the blanket out from underneath us, and we're going to make our way onto our backs. So at your own pace, in your own time, bending those knees, planting the pads of the feet on the earth. We're going to find our home here. You might give a little shift just to really feel the length of the spine touching down with the earth. Maybe you spread those arms wide. Maybe they're up overhead, just opening the heart center. Whatever feels good, explore, give yourself room to get it wrong, to get it right. And then let's start a little sway with the knees. So keeping the pads of the feet planted, let those knees sway from side to side just a little bit, nice and slow. We're loving on the low back. Those marjayasanas, those closed and open twists are a lot of work for the muscles in the low back and the hips. Breathing deep into the belly, we find ourselves here. And then let the sway of the knees grow, coming up onto the blade edges of the feet as you do. And then slow the sway down, moving with the breath, maybe even. Inhaling, the knees sway skyward. Exhale, they sway towards the side. Inhale, skyward. Exhale, the knees fall. Really nice and slow. Notice as you do this, as the knees fall towards the earth each time, where do you feel sensation? Maybe in the low back or the outer hip. Maybe you feel it in the inner thigh or the knee. Maybe you feel it up in the neck or the shoulders. There's no wrong way but to feel the sensations that arise as your knees hang heavy towards the earth. We're building interoception, mind-body awareness. Even just noticing how this feels calms the nervous system. So simple. And the more we practice, the more we can find this with ease in everyday life. We feel dysregulated, all right. Let's feel into our bodies for a moment, now that it's become a safe place to do that through our practice. All right, let the knees pause skyward when you're ready. I'm gonna walk my heels up towards my glutes, and then we're gonna do a little bananasana. So extending both arms up overhead, finding a nice cool side body stretch. What we do is this, keeping the arms extended. We're gonna start to shift our arms, shoulders, and head, walking them on over towards the left. And it's almost like only my arms and my head and my shoulder are moving, but it's almost like I want to travel down towards my left heel, right? I'm trying to make this C shape with the side of my body here. And then once you find like your C shape that you can comfortably just relax and rest into, keeping those knees skyward, right? They have a tendency to want to fall open wide. We're not there for that yet. Relax into this. We're going to invite length to the right side of our body. And this might feel great just like this. If you want to take it to a different level of intensity, you might extend the right leg long up overhead. And as you lower it down, press through the heel, flex the toes towards your heart, and just let that heel sink slowly towards the earth. Once the heel drops down, notice how the stretching on the right side of the body has changed. Maybe not at all. Maybe where you feel it has changed or the intensity of it has changed. Just observing, letting it be. Whatever your answer is good enough. Sometimes we get caught up, right? In whether we're doing it right or feeling it right or enough. And the truth is, if you are feeling, if you are moving, and if you're curious about it, and you're inviting your mind down into it, then that is somatics. That is building interoception, and it's a beautiful thing. You might, if you want to feel this a little more intensely, press into the pad of the foot whose knee is bent, right? So this bent leg, I'm going to start pressing into the pad of that foot, and it's going to roll my left hip towards the sky just a little bit. And what you might find is if you continue to press through the heel of that right foot and out through the fingertips of the arms, that it intensifies this stretch. For me, I feel it much more deeply in like my armpit area when I do this. Sometimes I feel it more deeply down in my hip and calf. Really just depends on where my body is at. When you're ready, release from this. Bend that right leg in, slowly slide the head and the shoulders back on up towards neutral. When you're ready, positioning those hips, those heels, yet again, finding your comfort zone. We're going to shimmy, scoot, walk the arms, head, and shoulders on over towards the right. Lengthening through the left side body. Maybe you want to hang out here. Maybe you want to extend that left leg long, sinking the heel towards the earth, inviting the toes up towards the heart. Breathe space into this stretch along the side of your body. Each deep inhale, an opportunity to grow even longer. Each exhale, an opportunity to soften into the length you've created. Maybe you liked that sensation of pressing into this pad of this planted right foot. If that's the case, go for it again. I'm going to say it doesn't feel good for me on this side as it did the other side, so I'm going to skip it. I'm just going to hang out here, stretching long, breathing deep. Feeling what's meant for me and being truthful about it, because there is no shame in choosing the postures, the props, the breath that feels good for me in this moment. May you always give yourself permission to show up on your mat in the ways that you need, and not in the ways that your teacher needs or the ways that you think you should show up. We show up here exactly as we are, in all of our truth, in all of our messiness, in all of our beauty, even when we don't see it. And as we move and breathe, the mat reveals the truth within us. And we find freedom. When you're ready, bend that left leg, shimmy. Ooh, those hands, arms, shoulders, head, right back up. Wonderful. Let's take a deep twist and then we'll take a couple minutes in Shavasana. So you might bring your knees up in towards your chest. You might leave them planted. So know that if we leave the legs planted, we're going to feel this twist in the lower half of the body, right? More towards the hips and the low back. If we invite the knees up in towards the chest, either with a strap at the shins or behind the knees, you can even leave your knees wide for now. This is going to take the twist from the low back up into the mid back area. So wherever your body is needing and whatever feels comfortable to you, find that now. And then we're going to let both knees fall on over towards the left. And you're going to kind of stack the knees atop each other. Maybe you stack the feet atop each other if it feels good. And then teeing the arms out wide, maybe up overhead. Maybe you plant both hands on your rib cages or your rib cage. Exploring what feels good and choosing what actually feels good to you. And then letting the body rest into this twist with every exhale. The belly, the hips melt, the thighs soften. If we want to bring our neck into this twist, really wring our spine out like a dish rag, you might lift your head up off the mat, turn your eyes in the opposite direction as your knees, and then let it rest back down. Softening through the neck and the jaw once more. Let the shoulders relax back towards the earth. So often when we're practicing softening and releasing, and then we move and shift, the body retenses, if even just slightly. So that re-invitation to relax. And we do it without judgment because our body is no dummy. It knows when you're judging it. It knows when you are not a safe person for it. And so choosing non-judgment in our practice, choosing the truth, right? There is no merit for what we're able to do with our bodies. There's only freedom in exploring and honoring them. When you're ready, lift your head, turn your eyes back towards the ceiling, roll those knees back upright. You might find that little knee sway yet again. You might hug your knees up in towards your chest and roll around if that feels good. Just finding a little release. And then from wherever you are, dropping those knees on over towards the right, coming into this twist on the opposite side. And again, finding home for your arms. Sometimes it's really hard on the shoulder blades to let both shoulder blades sink down to the earth. And that's where it can be really nice just to lay your arms atop your rib cage or your belly or chest. It can even feel nice to raise them up overhead. Teeing them out wide does really stretch through the shoulders and the armpit and the pectorals. But it also asks a lot from our rotator cuff. So be where you want to be. If you'd like, lift the head, turning those eyeballs opposite the knees, let it rest. And then once more, soften. Soften through all of those little things that secret tensed when you move your neck. Let it all go. One of my favorite things to do is, as I soften into these twists, my body always wants to slide, right? It always, the more I soften, the more imperfect I become, and we get fearful of that, and we end up clenching and tensing. And so I'm going to invite you to the possibility that messiness is beautiful, even in yoga. And as you soften and relax, if the body slides and shifts, then let it. And maybe you're like, oh, but my knees aren't stacked anymore. And maybe this isn't a twist anymore. Meh, let it. If it feels good, enjoy it. On an inhale of your choice, lift the head, turn your eyeballs back towards the ceiling, roll those knees up. Give them a little sway, either in towards the chest or pads of the feet planted, giving a rock, little playful movement. And then let's find a minute of final Shavasana. You might take that Shavasana in reclined bound angle, Supta Baddha Konasana. Pads of the feet come together, knees soften open, and then arms come out wide. So this is a wonderful hip opener. You might spend your final Shavasana, instead of the pads of the feet planted together, we're going to heel toe the feet out wide, wider than the mat. And then coming up onto the inside blade edges of the feet, we're just softening the knees inward toward one another. This opens up the outside of the hips, whereas the other one opens up the inside of the hips. And then maybe you spend final Shavasana, legs extended, arms out wide, taking up all the space that you can imagine you could ever need today, and then some, because you deserve it. From wherever you are, draw in a deep breath into the belly and the heart, fill them all the way up. Maybe you even hold at the top for just a moment, and then let it go. A long, deep exhale before once more filling the body. Maybe a sweet, short hold of that breath at the top before letting it seep back out of your lungs, nice and slow. You might continue those breaths, breathing deep, holding and releasing. Or you might rest into your natural breath, softening through the neck and the shoulders, feeling your shoulder blades melt down into the earth. As you travel down the length of your spine, you might also invite the hips to soften, to relax, to trust you, and find ease in this moment, relaxing through the tops of your thighs, your knees, letting that softness trickle down the calves and the ankles all the way through the toes of the feet. And now we feel this melted calmness from the toes of our feet all the way up through the tips of our fingers, out the top of our head, a deep release. As you soften here in stillness and the mind wanders, invite it back again and again to the sensations of the breath, maybe to the softening of any tension in the body. We keep the mind gently focused on what's happening physically and internally, so that we don't plan for the future or reminisce about the past or even judge the present. We just invite the mind back into this moment with gentleness and compassion again and again, letting it be messy. Knowing that the truth is often messy. Stay here for as long as you like. You might, in this moment, take one more opportunity to melt any tension in the jaw, the shoulders, or those glutes. Let it all go one last time. And then make a gentle fists with your hands, curl the toes in. And then extend the toes long, stretch them wide, doing the same with the hands. Curling the fingers and the toes in yet again, and then lengthening and stretching them when you're ready. You might bring some ankle and wrist circles one way and then the other. Let it be messy. An imperfect awakening of your body, bringing that movement up into the arms and the legs. You might bend the knees, yawn, stretch, whatever intuitive movement your body is asking for. And sometimes we don't even know what it wants until we start moving. And so that is why we're explorers in our practice, right? Because we're not here to get it right. We're not here to get it perfect. We're here to discover what is and to find the wonder in it. When you're ready, you might roll over onto your side body. You might press yourself up, woohoo, into an easy seat. And then we'll end our practice here today, either legs extended or crossed, palms at the heart center, an option to find your Kali Mudra, your temple mudra, your sword of truth. Pressing the thumbs in towards the heart, the sternum area. Take a deep breath into the chest. Breathing in your truth, the truth, truth. Truth is messy. Truth is imperfect. And so often when we choose the truth, we're choosing that which isn't Instagram worthy. The truth is beautiful. And for as hard as and imperfect as it is, there's so much that it has to offer us. So as you move through your week, take Kali with you, this feminine power that cuts to the heart of truth, no matter what it looks like, no matter what's in front of it. Take that power with you this week. Thank you for practicing yoga with me. The light and the dark in me sees the light and the dark in you, and we are the same.